Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. We just hit 36,100 subscribers. Can we get to 37K by the end of the month? Please like this video down below and comment down below before we get started. But before we get started, I have to tell you guys about Lear Capital. We all knew the market had to correct at some point, right? But nobody could have imagined what we're seeing today. COVID-19 is a human tragedy, and it's also an economic tragedy as the global economy is collapsing all around us. So how will the markets respond from this point forward? Well, many economists are predicting a third quarter recovery, but there's still so many unknowns that it's simply impossible to say. But one thing is for sure though, you can't just flip a switch and expect everything to return to normal. But headlines are suggesting that the next upside is there, and the next upside is actually gold and silver. Want to make money in 2020? Gold and silver are looking like a sure bet, at least according to Money Week, and that's why many Americans are making the decision to diversify into gold. Since 1997, Lear Capital has been America's top destination for gold IRA and precious metal sales. Mention this channel and receive a free silver coin with your first purchase, so call 800-819-2495 now. We will show you how easy it is to buy, sell, or trade your metals. Call 800-819-2495. That's 800-819-2495, or submit a request from the link in the description. But today we have to talk about the elections that happened last night. I'm going to start off with talking about the Nebraska 2nd District because it is a very key election, but I cannot wait to get to California. So for Nebraska's primary, Carrie Eastman won the Democrat side. They tallied about 65,000 total votes for the Democrats, but on the Republican side, they actually totaled 69,000. So it's a very, very key contentious district. And yes, you do have an incumbent Republican that was able to get as many votes combined with his opponent as all of the Democrats in a very key swing district. Hillary Clinton lost this district in 2016 by just 2 percentage points, so it's a very key district moving forward ahead of November that we're going to have to watch. It's one electoral vote, but one electoral vote could sway things. But because Republicans won it in the midterms in both the House election and the Senate election in the state of Nebraska, they're probably in better shape than not. I would expect Donald Trump to win it by a similar margin to how he won it by last time. Yes, it is very suburban, but there are still some exurbs and exurban areas that are going to prevent the race there from going into the Democrat column. We also have to talk briefly about Wisconsin. Wisconsin's 7th congressional district. Basically, here, Tom Tiffany beat Tricia Zunker by a 15% margin, and a lot of Democrats are actually kind of gloating about this because, yes, Trump won it by 20, but they forget to mention the fact that Romney won it by just 2%, and Scott Walker in 2018 won it by, I believe, 15%. So roughly it was in line with this margin, and it was an open seat. Back in 2010, when it was an open seat, Sean Duffy, who was not as popular as he was now, won it by 8% in a red wave election year. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think turnout was a big problem, though. Obviously, Republicans, I think they turned out over 100 and somewhere around 180,000 voters to their column this back in 2018 to this district. So they just didn't turn out as many people. Democrats really didn't turn out that many people either. For example, Donald Trump got, I think, 2,000 votes in Iron County. Tom Tiffany only turned out roughly around 1,000 people. So that's a very key metric there. I would take this election with a little bit of a grain of salt, but if anything, it's good that Republicans were actually able to outperform the PVI by 7 percentage points in this open election ahead of November. But the big election a lot of you guys want me to talk about, we don't have a map for it, but it's this one right here. Mike Garcia versus Christy Smith, the epic showdown. Mike Garcia, if you looked at the polls, I think there was one poll that had Garcia up by 4, but it was an internal poll, a lot of undecideds. It really shaped up to be a good night for Republicans. Mike Garcia has won the election. We don't have all the results in. He's probably not going to win by 12 points because you have a lot of results that are not yet tallied here. But what you have is Garcia going in as the underdog against Christy Smith and stealing a Democrat seat away from the Democrats in suburban Los Angeles County. This was the first flip for a Republican in the state of California in the House of Representatives since, I believe, 1998, and it was so crazy to watch, and it seems like Garcia is going to win. The betting odds say he's going to win by at least 6%. The betting odds basically have said that he is as a 91% chance right now that he wins by 6% or more, so that's a good thing. All the news media outlets have now called the race for Garcia. We still have a lot of votes out there that have yet to been tallied, and basically what it shows is Republicans are energized. Republicans came out to vote in California, and a lot of the mail-in ballots that were sent out to the younger voters, they didn't really return them. A lot of the Latino voters, they really didn't return them. Again, this is a majority-minority district, and Mike Garcia performed very well, mainly thanks to white voters. He could have done a little bit better with the Latino voters that voted, but it really does seem like a lot of this had to do with younger voters being disinterested, and it gets me thinking about November, because younger voters and minority voters were not that interested in the Democrat primary, at least comparatively, and you saw record low, abysmal turnout, even for people like Bernie Sanders among the Hispanic crowd, among the young voters crowd. So what it shows is that you have a lot of people, the Democrats' core constituency, being extremely disillusioned with the electorate. And Christy Smith was I guess you would say, a Karen. She was an annoying woman. She put her pronouns in her bio. She would rant about feminism. She even attacked Cenk. She called Chunk Yogurt a sexist. And it went back, because this is Cenk's district, by the way. Cenk actually ran for this district in this election cycle, of those of you who don't know, and he got hilariously lambasted and put in fourth place. But basically, Christy Smith was not able to energize young voters. I really don't believe Cenk Uygur would have won this election, by the way, had he been the Democrat nominee. I think, in fact, he would have lost by 20 points because he's a total and complete joke. But the bottom line is Joe Biden is just like Christy Smith. He cannot necessarily energize younger voters. He cannot really energize groups to come out and vote for him. He's dull. He's milquetoast. He really doesn't know what he's talking about. He really doesn't even know where he is. And this is going to be a problem when he's trailing Donald Trump in the enthusiasm gap by 35 percentage points. Mike Garcia was a candidate that was backed by Donald Trump, enthusiastically backed by Trump, in a district where Trump actually lost by 7 percentage points in suburban California, in Los Angeles and Ventura counties. And what happens at the end of the day is that Garcia actually comes out of this the victor. And Garcia actually comes out of this election with a complete and total victory. I don't know if it's going to stay at 12%, but that would be crazy if he wins it by 7 points, if he wins it by 8 points. That's a 15-point swing into the Republican column from last November. Basically, what this would mean is that this would be the Pennsylvania's 18th congressional district race for the Republican Party. And yes, turnout will be up in November. This will be an election that will have a rematch in November. I think Garcia is going to win that. I don't believe he's going to win it by as much of a margin as he won it by now, but I think he will win it regardless. And I think it really shows that Republicans had a symbolic victory. And potentially this could lead down the path of Republicans taking the House. Maybe they don't take the House back. Maybe they get close, but maybe they do have a rebound. Maybe they do have a trend rebound. Maybe they flip a couple of seats in Orange County. Maybe young Kim can win this time. I don't believe there was ballot harvesting in this race. Obviously, they're doing something where they're accepting mail-in ballots 3 days after, then they're going to count them. That's not exactly ballot harvesting, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to really sway this race, but it seems like Christy Smith has conceded. She knows she's going to lose. Mike Garcia, the Navy fighter pilot, the veteran, he is going to go to the House of Representatives, and he is going to represent California's 25th district, and hopefully it can pave a way. Maybe, Donald Trump, he got, 32% in California? Maybe he could get 34, 35% this time, and maybe it could help him lay down the groundwork for winning the popular vote or something like that, because it really does seem like a lot of the victory of Hillary Clinton's popular vote victory came from 2 counties. It came from Cook County and LA County, and if you throw in the Orange County margin, that was her entire popular vote victory there. So if Trump is able to eat into those margins and those counties, yes, maybe Trump will have a better chance at winning the popular vote this time around. Definitely Garcia saw a big surge in fundraising after Trump. I think Trump helped Garcia more than it hurt Garcia. A lot of people were saying, well, maybe even myself was saying, maybe Trump's endorsement wasn't that big of a factor. Well, it seems like the energy boost and the fundraising boost came right after Donald Trump endorsed Mike Garcia, and that's going to help him. And this election is not over, even though Garcia has won the fight. He has not won the battle. The final battle will take place in November, where we will be able to determine if Garcia will serve a full term or not. In the meantime, it is a symbolic victory for Republicans showing, yeah, you know what, the economy's down, but we're not listening to the Democrats' propaganda. We're not listening to everything that they've been saying negatively about this president, and Republicans are going to be energized. And once this Obamagate stuff starts to really kick off and get the ball rolling here, and you saw a lot of news about that today, this could be an election that's decided by turnout and enthusiasm. Yes, Republicans were not super enthused in the state of Wisconsin, but in the state of California and across the country, they are, because this race was a more nationalized race than the race in Wisconsin that most people didn't even know was exactly going to take place. This race was a nationally covered race for weeks, and Donald Trump stepped in a lot more in this race, and it actually helped Garcia not only across the finish line, but across the finish line in a very, very remarkable fashion, something that I did not even expect. I did not expect Garcia to win by this margin, assuming the margin holds anywhere near where it is now. If it's 5% or more, I was expecting something like a very narrow Garcia victory. In a potential upset, maybe Garcia would win, but he really came out and he won by a fairly wider margin than any of us really thought conventionally could happen. And a lot of that had to do with the energy on the Republican side. And you see a big national enthusiasm gap between Trump and Biden. It's kind of going to be a similar thing down the road, I can guarantee it. If Biden's not able to even turn out voters as much as Hillary, because yes, Biden is not as hated as Hillary, but he's also not as liked as Hillary. Trump is actually more liked. He has more enthusiasm behind him now than when he had then, and he had an enthusiasm advantage. I think it was like 15% net. Now Trump's got a plus 35 net advantage. He could end up winning the popular vote, something like 68 million to 61 million, despite trailing in the polls based on people's willingness to vote, especially if it's mail-in. I honestly think mail-in ballots could actually end up helping Trump at the end of the day. Older people are more likely to know how to use mail. All these young, lazy millennials, they don't exactly know how to mail in their ballots unless they're smart, and if they're smart with that kind of stuff, guess what? They're probably voting for Trump, so it's kind of a wash, and it actually kind of helps Donald Trump, and it could help him at the end of the day, the mail-in ballot thing, which is kind of ironic compared to what some of us have conventionally thought. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. Join the Discord and subreddit. Donate to the Patreon or subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.